Let's all be honest for a moment. We've all built something in Minecraft that has looked better in our heads, right? For all intents and purposes, the structure itself might have been correct or accurate to the reference, the details are on point, but the colours have the appearance of a haphazard toddler painting. You're not alone. This is one of the big hurdles in learning how to build in Minecraft, and it's something that I personally have struggled with a lot. It's known as colour theory, and can even keep some seasoned builders up at night if you don't understand it correctly. Luckily for you, you've clicked on this video, and I'm about to give you some rapid fire tips to level you up from my personal experience. If you like this content, leave a like and let me know down in the comments below. With all that being said though, let's transform you from a criminal against colour into Da Vinci's reincarnation. Step 1. What even is a colour wheel? To begin this video, I wanted to start with some foundational knowledge. A colour wheel is the visual representation displaying how colours relate to each other. The most common types of this are RYB, CMY, and sometimes RGB, which you gamers probably know that already. For the sake of this video, I'm going to be using the RYB colour wheel, as I feel it best fits Minecraft's more simplistic block colour range. This wheel is divided into 3 main groups. Primary colours, for example, red, yellow, and blue. Secondary colours, which are formed by mixing 2 of the 3 primary colours together. And tertiary colours, which are yet another mixture, this time between a primary colour and a secondary. For many Minecraft builders, however, it's not really important to remember these terms. It's just a foundational understanding, and once you get to know how they interact with each other, it will become much easier, but that'll be further in the video, so stick around for that. 2. The deeper layer, colour context. This is the first stage, I feel, in colour theory where things really start to get a little bit interesting. Colours, both in art and life, rarely exist in isolation. The same block, as seen in this example here, can look vastly different depending on the other blocks surrounding it. This is also why some blocks look amazing in a build that you see online, but they can look really out of place in your own. It's not the block, and it can look good, but it's the context of the surrounding structure that you're making. 3. Contrast and statement colours. This point is going to get a little wordy, so make sure to buckle in. Contrast is what keeps a building's profile interesting. Without it, the structures you make can tend to look a little muddy. Typically, these differences fall into 3 categories: hue, value, and saturation. So let's break those down into their own mini parts. First, hue. This is the base colour itself and is typically what people think of whenever they hear a single colour, such as red or blue. The next is value. This refers to how light or dark a colour is on a scale. In this example I'm showing here, I've chosen red as my hue and have deepened it to dark, almost blood red in colour and lightened it all the way to the soft pinks of cherry wood. Even though these blocks all fall within the same hue, you can see how different they all are and the variables you can have in texture alone. Having an understanding of value is really what helps formulate a colour palette when building, as dark colours typically work to ground a build, where lighter valued colours act as statement pieces that draw the eye to explore. Again though, this all works around context, and the blocks around it will lighten or darken dependent on what you have. Finally, we have saturation, which describes the vividness or intensity of a colour. Blocks that are high saturation have bold colours and are typically very eye-catching. Think of red concrete, whereas low saturation colours can feel more muted, such as netherrack. And this is why this point is really tricky when it comes to Minecraft building. Unlike the smoothness of paint swatches, Minecraft blocks have to also juggle texture, which can mean they act a little differently to traditional art, and that is something you need to think about when creating your palettes. This is where view distance is something that I must really stress, as some blocks, while looking absolutely amazing from afar, can look horrible and overcrowded when viewed up close. Typically, this is why most Minecraft builders who want to live in their structures try to keep their builds in the lower saturation range. Predominantly, they use more neutral blocks and maybe 1 or 2 high vibrancy blocks as statements. And this is where statement colours come in. A statement colour is something that is used sparingly to draw the attention to important aspects of a build. It might only appear on the roof, in banners, decorations, or sections of a wall. It is important to remember, however, that this block should follow the final rule in colour theory. 4. Colour harmony. This final concept is really what brings the whole theory together. Harmony, much like the musical term, comes from choosing colours that naturally work well together based on their position on the colour wheel. There are many different forms that artists use, and I would highly recommend you do your own research into this. But I wanted to include a few that I think will be the most beneficial for Minecraft builders. Monochromatic. This scheme focuses on a single hue, mainly relying on both value and saturation to add visual interest to a piece. In this example build you're seeing here, it's easy to tell what the hue is, as every block that has been used falls within it. Because everything stays within the same color family, monochromatic palettes tend to have the highest cohesion, but can be a little bit on the boring side and require you to understand value and saturation a little bit deeper. Analogous. Analogous colours sit next to each other on the colour wheel. An example using the RYB palette would be blue, blue-green, and green. Because these colours are closely related, they tend to blend well together in a build. In this build you're seeing here, all the blocks follow this scheme. Like a monochromatic palette, I've adjusted the saturation and hue of different blocks to add depth, but have remained within the overarching colour families. Complementary. You've probably heard it before, complementary colour this, complementary colour that, but it's arguably the most commonly used scheme. These are colours that sit directly opposite each other, like blue and orange. Complementary schemes are amazing at creating very strong visual contrast, but can be a little bit difficult to control for beginners. Sometimes the simplest form is the best. For example, this build uses cool tone stone for the foundations with warm wood accents. It's something that's very basic and most people wouldn't consider to be a complementary palette, but it is foundationally. Or if you really want to be adventurous, you can try and crank up the intensity and make something completely wild and crazy. Typically, however, I would always recommend that builders rely on one of the colors being a dominant presence while the other is relegated just to support. But you guys might surprise me and make something absolutely incredible with this. Triadic. For the final scheme in this list, I wanted to leave you guys with a slightly harder one to master. Triadic color palettes use 3 colors that are spaced relatively evenly around the color wheel. An easy way to imagine this is to place a triangle over it and pick colors at all of its points. These palettes tend to feel very vibrant and lively because they juggle multiple, possibly vibrant or overpowering colors while still maintaining a sense of rightness and harmony. Typically, I really only see this scheme used in fantasy style builds, but you guys might surprise me with your talents and come out with a cyberpunk build that has so many colors on it. And there you have it. A crash course in color theory. While color theory can get incredibly deep and can take years to understand, some of these basic concepts can form an amazing jumping point. Once you start thinking about your builds in terms of color relationships instead of blocks, you'll begin to create better palettes and have an overall better block cohesion within your structures. Honestly, there is nothing more satisfying than seeing a palette finally work on a large mega base build. So, if you found this helpful at all, consider leaving a like and drop a comment below if there's any other building topics you would like to see covered. Now, go forth, my building rookies, and please, stop committing color crimes before you get locked up.